it's a huge decision, really, given the global reverberations of this case. Absolutely. Now, if the judge were to decide to charge Durov, he could then appeal against that. If he were to decide to remand him in custody, he or she, I don't know if it's a man or a woman, the judge, remand Durov in custody, that could also be appealed. But essentially, it is a single decision by a single judge at this stage.
Today, the founder and the boss of the Telegram messaging platform, Pavel Durov, should learn if he'll be charged in France for a number of offences. Now, they include complicity in running an online platform used for organised crime, child pornography, drug trafficking, large-scale fraud, money laundering and illegal encryption. He was arrested in Paris over the weekend in a move that raised concerns in Russia. Adam Sage is the Paris correspondent for The Times, and he's live on the line. Hello to you, Adam.
Hello.
So is it still the expectation that we're going to hear about what happens in this case, Adam, in the next few hours?
Yes, that's right. Durov was detained on Saturday. They could detain him in police custody for questioning for 96 hours. That has now ended. He was transferred to the court in Paris, I think around about lunchtime today, for a hearing with an investigating magistrate behind closed doors. It's not a public hearing here. And the magistrate will decide what to do next. There are two questions, really. First of all, will he charge him? Will the magistrate charge Durov? And the second is, if he does charge him, will he remand him in custody or allow him to go free, probably in that case with restrictions on his movements?
Right, so under the French system then, it is up to the presiding magistrate on the case today to make those decisions, not to some independent prosecution service, because there's a lot of factors to turn over in making those various decisions.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, it's a huge decision, really, given the global reverberations of this case. Absolutely. Now, if the judge were to decide to charge Durov, he could then appeal against that. If he were to decide to remand him in custody, he or she, I don't know if it's a man or a woman, the judge, remand Durov in custody, that could also be appealed. But essentially, it is a single decision by a single judge. At this stage.
I suppose we can't know the answer to this, but an awful lot of people in an awful lot of countries are going to be watching what happens to Pavel Durov there in France. Although the ultimate decision of the magistrate and maybe the judge on appeal, that's not going to bind anyone else anywhere else to any particular course of action.
No, that's right. Of course, there might be a lot of people connected, A, with Telegram, and B, conceivably with other social media networks who might think twice about stepping foot in France in the light of this.
Yeah.
I mean, there have been legal experts who have suggested that if you were to push this logic out further, you might find that the heads of other social media platforms could also find themselves in the nets of French justice as well.
And are we just talking about French justice in this case? Is there any kind of locus for the European Union to follow where France leads, or is it purely a national decision for the justice system in that country?
Well, I mean, justice is national, so it is only a national decision, and there is only it's an investigation that only takes place here. We know that the European Union is concerned about Telegram. We know that other police forces are concerned about it. Whether this will lead to other actions in other countries, that's a point that will no doubt be observed carefully going forward. But at the moment, this is purely a French decision in the French judicial system.
We discussed this before. Pavel Durov, the man himself at the centre of all of this, it's as if he sought out this by way of a test. But in a way he did, didn't he? He landed in France knowing this was perfectly possible.
Well, he apparently knew that there was indeed an investigation that had been launched in July concerning him, that therefore there was this risk. I've no idea why he decided to come to France anyway. Perhaps he thought that his support in high places, and he did indeed have some contacts and support in high places, including with President Macron, who's met him on at least two occasions over the last couple of years, and who backed his case for becoming a French citizen. Durov, in 2021, was granted citizenship under a procedure known as an emeritus foreigner. which applies to people who have done quote unquote remarkable things without living in France or having any other connection with France. So maybe Durov thought that his support from President Macron would be enough to get him in and out without being questioned. If so, he was mistaken.
Adam Sage for The Times in Paris. Thank you.